Hey, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm glad to hear you're doing good. Where are you from?
California, the Bay Area,
Oh, that's
San
cool.
Francisco, San Francisco area.
Awesome, awesome. So let me ask you something. Are you against animal abuse?
Yes.
You think it's wrong to like abuse animals? Let's say somebody here decided to stab a dog in the neck and ate the dog. What would you think about that? You think that would be horrible?
Yeah, I'd cry.
Yeah. What about you? Do you personally eat animals?
Just chicken, but not a dog.
But you do eat chickens, no pigs, no cows, no.
I try not to eat red meat, so mainly chicken.
Yeah, but you do eat other animals, like who?
Mainly chicken, shrimp, I guess.
No, so no, so other birds, turkey, stuff like that.
Not really.
What about the other animal products like eggs, dairy?
Yeah, dairy.
Do you think that would be considered supporting animal abuse if you personally consume chicken and dairy, for example?
Um, Depends on how they're raised, because sometimes they're raised in terrible conditions, and then other times they're just small farms that sell to local communities. So I feel like it depends on how they're treated in their environment.
So you would say you would be fine with supporting like small farms, humane murder kind of thing?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, if it comes down to it, yeah, you have to eat something.
Do you have to like eat animals though? Like that's the first question, and my second question is like, would you have that same attitude in like a human context? Like say we were like breeding humans into existence and like keeping them like humanely in small farms and then killing those humans for their meat and their products. Would you be fine with supporting that if it's done humanely with humans?
No, because we don't need to eat humans. There's like just no studies on eating humans. you know?
What do you mean?
So,
What do you mean? We don't need to eat humans? Are you like suggesting that we need to eat animals like chickens and dairy?
yeah, they're. I mean, they provide protein. They're a good source of energy. When you're out in the wild, you can't necessarily come across a pineapple or a fresh salad. It comes down to what's available.
But do you think you specifically need chicken and dairy, like, or do you think there's other alternatives? Like, can you survive without eating animals, like by plants, for example?
So I'm pretty sure you can, but I don't think you necessarily might have like all the energy you might need. I think it depends on everybody and their
What do you
health.
think? What do you think would be missing in animal products that would be missing in plants that you could only find in animal products?
Mainly, I feel protein is the main source where you'd get animal products from.
What do you think? Like, where do you think protein comes from?
What do you mean?
Like protein, where do you think it comes from originally?
Well, it's in our bodies. We built it. It's
But the animals that you eat, you say they have protein,
provide us with
which is true.
protein. Yeah.
But those essential amino acids that make up the protein, where do they come from? Like where do those animals get it? The animals that you kill and eat.
Mm, from their source of food, it depends on what they eat as well.
Yeah, like for example, plants, right? Like all the essential amino acids that we need to survive are found in plants. Like I don't know if you heard about the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. That's the largest group of nutritional experts. They came to the conclusion, according to all the evidence, that the plant-based diets not only are nutritionally adequate, so they're good for you, even for pregnant women, children, athletes, but they provide health benefits. So you don't really need to eat animals. So why wouldn't you see like a moral obligation to not harm others and like kill and eat others if you had other alternatives?
Huh? Sorry, what?
Why wouldn't you see it as a moral obligation to not harm and kill others if you had other alternatives?
I'm not too sure on your question.
Yeah, because personally, you wouldn't like even like consider paying for like human meat or human like dairy products or whatever. Let's say we were like breeding women into existence and exploiting them for dairy, the same way we're doing that with cows. And let's say we're doing that humanely. you still wouldn't see you still wouldn't see that as ethical to pay for those products, right? No?
So what do you eat for like your proteins and all that?
Anything, plants, for example, like grains, legumes, uh, vegetables, fruits, as long as you're eating enough calories, you're not gonna have a problem with uh, finding protein.
Yeah, but that's very hard to get all your calories in from just eating like that.
What do you mean it's hard?
Like you have to eat more
Not necessarily.
of the food to gain more calories. You know what I'm saying?
No, not necessarily. Like there's plant foods with high protein profile, like
But
for
that's
example
not always
tofu.
easily available to everybody, though.
What do you mean it's not easily available? What would be hard about it?
Like for example, I'm like, if you're like out, for example, in my rancho in Mexico, you can't just find chickpeas. You can't just find all the good sources of plant-based protein. You know, so of course they're gonna go and kill the chicken to get that source of protein.
So you think you're in your rancho, people can't get their hands in like super cheap plant-based foods like rice, beans, lentils, potatoes, pasta, stuff like that?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Just the rice and beans.
yeah, and that's like the cheapest of all food. It's all plant-based. You can just survive out of that instead of killing others. So my question is, why wouldn't you see it as morally obligatory to stop your consumption of chickens and dairy products if you had if you do have those other alternatives, and it's pretty easy.
Why don't I? It's just how I was raised to eat. That's part of my culture. It's part of my food. That's always how I ate.
So let's say like hypothetically you were raised in a culture, in a society where you were like committing cannibalism since very little. They raised you that way,
Probably. That's probably what would have happened.
and you would
It's just how you're raised.
and you would like.
A lot of people who are raised like in the plant-based, they grow up to know a lot of the plant-based.
But the question is, would you have that same attitude where even if you have a conversation like this, you would still say, I'm going to keep consuming human products because I was raised that way? Or would you see it like as a moral obligation to stop committing cannibalism?
I would try to like research it, yeah, and be like, oh, okay, like there's different alternatives than to eating human meat, but there's just no research in the benefits of eating human meat. So
Let's say it was equal, like in benefits as eating the kind of food that you eat, and you were like raised eating humans all this time. Would you see it as morally obligatory to stop consuming humans, or would you just like take it slow and do your research and maybe consider stopping cannibalism, or would you see it as obligatory?
because it's different because I'm not eating myself, you know, like I'm eating a chicken. It's not like chickens are eating chickens and fish are eating their own fish.
So what do you think is different? What do you think is different between like us and chickens, for example, or dairy cows, that like would make it okay to
It's just a part of nature. That's just how it works. Tigers eat the antelope. That's just how life works.
And you think that's fine just because it happens in nature, that makes it okay to keep doing it?
It's kind of, yeah, I mean,
You know, in
At
nature,
some point, yeah.
some animals do commit cannibalism too, right? And some animals eat their children. Some animals rape each other. You think it's fine for us to imitate that just because it happens in nature?
definitely not. But then again, we're not them. We're humans.
Yeah, exactly. We're humans. We have moral agency, and we have alternatives, right? So why choose to harm others, to exploit others, murder others, if we have other options? Like, I'm just not seeing what's so different between us and animals that would make it okay to farm and Holocaust animals, but not humans. I just don't see that difference. You do see a difference, like a morally significant difference between us and chickens or dairy cows that justifies doing that to them and not to us?
I'm not too sure because just religiously speaking, you know, God put the animals on the planet to help us, you know? So
Okay, so it comes from your attitude comes from a religious.
religious, cultural, it's just that's how I was raised.
So you're religious.
Religious.
You're religious. Were you Christian?
Catholic.
I was raised Catholic. I'm agnostic now, but would you say like God is benevolent? You know what benevolent is?
No.
So you think God is all good? You think He's a good being?
God?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
So you do think He's good, right?
Yeah.
And animals, do you think animals have a capacity for suffering, and do they value their own life? Like, for example, a dog or a chicken. Do you think those animals have a capacity for suffering?
Yes.
So do you think a benevolent God, a God that is good, as you claim, do you think He would prefer for us to keep harming animals even if we have alternatives, or would you think a benevolent God would prefer for us to move towards a plant-based diet where there's no harming of sentient beings?
I mean, then he would make food very accessible for everybody, you know? It's not just me.
Which it is. It is accessible. Like the cheapest of the cheapest food is all plant based. Like the poor of the poor, they eat stuff like rice, beans, lentils, potatoes, like we mentioned earlier. So what's not accessible about that? He made it accessible. If you believe in God, right now it is accessible to be vegan for you.
Vegan, completely vegan.
You know what veganism is? Yeah.
Yeah, completely vegan. No.
Yeah. Why harm others at all if we have options not to do so? Veganism is just a logical extension of human rights. It's a moral philosophy.
Because, oh my gosh.
You can sit down if you want. If the sand is bothering too much your eyes, you can sit down.
Because of health reasons, not everybody can be vegan.
What's not healthy about being vegan?
You know, food is a very touchy subject. You know, it's not.
Yeah, but I just don't know what you mean by not everyone can go vegan. Like for example, you can, right? You are in a position.
I've been vegan for 2-3 months, and that was like the skinniest I've ever been. It wasn't for me.
What do you think veganism is, by the way? Because like it sounds like you think it's a diet or something. What do you think veganism is?
It's a whole lifestyle. You're not allowed to wear leather, all that stuff, which I don't even care for.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think it is. I think it's a logical extension of the idea of human rights. Like we already have common ground in thinking that human beings deserve basic rights, like not to be murdered, not to be exploited. What was that?
We don't even have a lot of basic human rights in the world. We can't fight for animals quite yet either.
Why can't we? Like for example, some races of humans that were enslaved in the near past, right? Mm-hmm. You guys didn't have even rights to vote and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't we expand our circle of moral consideration and basic rights to include animals? Like what's so different between us and them that will make them fall outside the circle of moral consideration? To me, we're all a big family here. We're here in this planet together. That they're not here for us or anything like that. So why not give them basic rights not to be exploited? And it starts by your choices, right? Right now, because right now it's legal to do this to animals, but you have an option to not support that sort of thing with your money. Why keep supporting it if you have options not to murder chickens or dairy cows, for example?
Because it helps me, it helps my health, and it helps me feel good.
Okay, it helps you. So if presumably
when I was a vegan, I didn't have that mental clarity that people were talking about. I was very skinny. I was eating my chickpeas protein shakes, plant-based protein shakes, and I still did not feel how healthy I feel today with working out, eating my chicken mainly. That I don't eat red meats, but it's mainly chicken because I personally don't like red meats and the way that they're produced, because a lot of the cows are in factory farming, and I don't think that's okay.
So there's a couple of things there. Like there's first of all the empirical claim that plant-based diets are somehow inferior, which is not true. Like again, all the available evidence suggests that they're not only nutritionally adequate, they're even better for your health. Like they help prevent stuff like deadly diseases like diabetes, cancer, heart disease. Like I don't know if you know stuff like the deadliest killer is heart disease, and it increases your risk of heart disease to consume cholesterol, which can only be found in animal products. Cholesterol, saturated fat. Like animal products are very high in saturated fat, and plants are high in things like fiber and low in cholesterol. That helps reduce your risk of heart disease. So the empirical claim is not true. Like plant-based diets are completely healthy for you. They're even better for your health. And then the second thing is the moral thing. Like even if it's the case, like assuming for the sake of argument that animal products are good for you, I still wouldn't see as ethical to do it. Like let's assume committing a little bit of cannibalism was healthy. Would you commit cannibalism if it was a little healthy for you and everybody around you was doing it?
No.
Exactly. So that doesn't justify it, right?
No.
So what does? Why kill sentient beings like chickens if you can eat non-sentient stuff like plants?
I'm not too sure.
It sounds like there's no justification, right?
Well, yeah, like for me, it just makes me feel better. It makes me feel healthy.
But again, does that justify it? If we make you feel healthier and happier or whatever to enslave humans and kill and eat them, would you do that just because it makes you feel a little bit better?
No.
So that can't be the difference. When I ask you what justifies, you can suggest that because that alone doesn't justify it. What does then?
Well, nothing justifies anything then.
What do you mean nothing justifies anything?
You can't justify a lot of things then. Why? Yeah, you just can't justify a lot of things in that case.
Yeah, we're talking about something that's pretty like horrific. Like we're talking about bringing these beings into existence, holocausting them for meat, or enslaving them for things like dairy, like inessential things. When we can just eat something else. Like sure, there's probably a lot of things that are morally questionable that we do, but at least that problem of what we eat. Why don't you see it as wrong enough to stop paying for that? Like imagine if the tables turn and you were the victim. Like would you like people paying for somebody to kill you?
That's life. If that's how it was, that's how it be. I don't know. The world just works funny ways, and that's just how it is.
So if you were a dairy cow, you would be okay with people like artificially inseminating you, like raping you for dairy, killing your children, and people to perpetually do that for the rest of existence when they could just stop doing that? What would you prefer, for people to stop doing that to you, or for people to continue doing that for all of existence?
Well, for it to stop, but that's not the world we live in.
What do you mean?
It's not the world we live in.
You don't think things could change towards the better?
No.
Like didn't human slavery, for example, get abolished? Didn't women get the right to vote? Didn't LGBTQ community get a right to get married? Don't you see moral progress in other areas? Why are you claiming that there can be moral progress in the case of animals?
I don't think so.
What makes it impossible for you? What do you think is impossible to extend rights to animals?
Because it's all about money. The more the corporations want to make money, it's just going to continue happening.
Well, slavery was all about money too, and it ended, right?
That's what you think. That's what you think.
At least the transatlantic slave trade, right? Bringing Africans into.
But now it's just happening back in the back end. It's happening. Before it was happening legally. Now it's happening illegally. That's just the difference. It's still messed up.
And we agree that's wrong, right? And it would be wrong to, like, for example, pay for that, to pay for that to happen, right? So we at least everybody, like, the reason why the animal thing is such a moral emergency is because most people already agree that human traffic is wrong, like stuff like that, like exploiting humans is obviously wrong. But when you ask people about what do you think about eating chicken, it tastes nice, you know, when there's a victim there too. So why can't we, like, agree that it's wrong to exploit humans, but at the same time not pay for the exploitation of animals? Don't you think it's easy to just not pay for the exploitation of other sentient beings?
I don't know.
It is easy. Again, why pay for it? Like, you have two options, right? Like, I just ask you this: next time you go buy something in the grocery store or whatever, you have two options: choose the vegan options or to choose to abuse others, to exploit others. What would you choose?
Sorry, ask that again.
Yeah, next time you're in the grocery store, which is probably gonna be today, you gotta have dinner today. Are you gonna choose the vegan option, or are you gonna choose to exploit others?
I'm going to choose to Well, it depends on what I'm in the mood for. So it depends. Sometimes I'll get a Caesar salad, and sometimes I'll add it with. Sorry, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I lost my train of thought. What were you gonna say? That's gonna bug me.
Just choosing, you're thinking about the victim that you're gonna exploit.
The leaves.
are you?
The leaves or the chicken? The plant or the chicken?
Thinking of exploiting.
Yeah, the leaves are not a victim. They don't feel anything.
Yes, they do. They have vibrations.
Okay, so are you claiming now that plants have a capacity for subjective experience? They can think. They
I
can.
don't know the science of it. I don't.
Yeah, the science is that they like the available evidence suggests
Living
and
organisms too. I
the
don't know.
consensus among scientists is that like this consciousness is an emergent property of central nervous systems, brains. We share that with animals like chickens, cows. They have brains, so they have a capacity for suffering. They have a capacity for experiencing well-being. They value their own lives. Plants, they don't have brains. They don't. There's nothing there. Like there's not a being experiencing the world from within as with us, because we do have brains. So yeah, next time you're in the grocery store, you have two options. You can exploit sentient beings, like beings with brains like us that value their own life, they suffer, or you can just choose plants, which means not harming others. What are you gonna choose? Depends how you feel. If you feel like exploiting others, you're gonna do that.
Yeah, depending on whether I want to abuse the leaves of the lettuce or the chicken. I don't know. Depends.
And you really think that's equivalent?
I mean, it could have. Something's dying.
Imagine how we started this conversation, right? I asked, what if a dude just stabbed a dog in the neck and ate the dog in front of you? You would say that's horrific, right? You would never support that. Like, let's say you have that two options. Let's say there's two options.
That's different because, like, if he's gonna kill the dog for food, well then, at least he's eating, you know. And if the
So
person
let me
wants
ask
to
you
kill
this.
in front of me,
Let
the
me-
chicken,
let me ask you
they're
something.
eating the chicken. As long as it's not for pleasure, I mean.
Okay, let's ask you that. Let's say it's not for pleasure. Let's say you have two options right now: to grab an apple from an apple tree, or to stab a dog right here, like and like see the dog begging for his life, he's suffering. Would you grab the sure? Would you grab the apple and eat the apple, or would you stab the dog? Do you see a difference between those two cases?
Get closer.
Yeah. So
I don't really want to like get in the video really, but okay. My question to you
Why
is,
not
like,
come by?
Okay, if
Go,
you
come
were,
to the video.
If you were like in a
Come
beach,
over here. So
No, it's okay. I don't really want to be on video. If you were in a beach and you had a family, you had like 3 kids, and you were stuck on this beach with no fish, no plants, anything, and your kids were dying, and all you could eat is like, let's say there was like a chicken or a cow, and you had the tools to like give it to your family to feed. Would you give it to your family, or would you let your family die?
okay, so in this like counterfactual hypothetical where there was only two options, for some reason there's no plant-based foods available, right? This is just animals, like innocent animals, or starving to death. I think the right thing would be to starve to death. Yeah.
Starve to death? Okay.
Okay, can I ask you something really quick? Let's say you were in a desert island.
Yeah.
Was you, your family, and a family of some other humans.
Yeah.
Would you murder those innocent humans and eat them for your family to survive, or would you just starve to death?
I'll starve to death.
Same. Like I have the same attitude in the animal context because I don't see. You say you're gonna tell me that it's not comparable.
when it comes to human survival.
Okay, so can I respond? Can I finish my translation? You're gonna say it's not comparable, but what I'm gonna ask you is what's true of animals that if it was true of humans would make you have that same attitude, and I don't think you're gonna be able to provide a good answer without contradicting yourself or something like that, or being okay with taking away human rights.
Okay. What's your question?
Yeah, so my question is, what's true of animals that if it was true of humans would make you have that same attitude about the humans? Like, it would make you feel okay killing that family of innocent humans and eating them. But like, what's so different between us and animals that we justify it in one case and not the other?
Let me get closer. You can't, at the end of the day, I feel like you really can't compare, because since the beginning of time, like since even in like Jesus' time, people have been, using animals as a source of like food and everything. Even when there's like, plant-based stuff and everything, like at the end of the day, you're gonna do what you need to do to like feed yourself, feed your family, and everything. And some people choose not to be vegan because, like, for example, veganism isn't for everyone. Like, it's not good for some people, like her, for example, right? She says that she needs different types of proteins to nourish her body because veganism makes her lose
All
a
the
lot of
essential amino acids can be found in plants, so that's something that's just not factual. But
It's not about being factual. It's not about being factual. It's about like the actual physical facts about someone's body. If you're not gonna argue with her about what it does for her body, if you don't have the same body as her, her body can react to veganism differently than it does to you.
just look up the peer-reviewed research. Plant-based diets are nutritionally adequate throughout all stages of the life cycle, including pregnant women, children, athletes. But to respond to your ethical point, you said something about what justifies it is something about, and you appeal to tradition because we've been doing it since the beginning of times. Even Jesus did it or something like that. I can just provide a hypothetical to you, and test your logical consistency. Let's say we've been committing cannibalism since the beginning of time. Let's say even Jesus kill and ate humans. Would you continue to do that, or would you stop doing that?
Humans or animals?
Let's say we've been, hypothetically speaking, let's say we woke up and we were in another reality, right? And in that reality, everybody committed cannibalism since the beginning of time. And you had an option to stop doing that and to eat something else. Would you continue to exploit humans for meat, or would you like choose compassion and choose something else?
I would choose animals, not humans. But
Let's say let's say there's just two options: being vegan or committing cannibalism. Would you just commit cannibalism because everybody else around you is doing it? We've been doing it since the beginning of time. It's a well-established tradition. Or would you like go vegan?
to me, it's not about who's been doing it and I'm doing it because everyone else is doing it. I'm doing it because I want to do it. So we're not gonna pretend we live in a world of just humans and plants. We live in a world with humans, animals, and plants. So you really can't compare.
Yeah, but that's the reason I'm providing that hypothetical to you is because you said that's the thing that justifies it. When I asked you what's true of animals, that if it was true of humans,
I let you speak. You keep cutting me off, and then you ask me not to cut you off. So are we gonna do like a mutual conversation, or because I know you get excited about these topics, and I know you want to spend your whole day on the beach.
I just wanted to point.
Can you do it again?
No, I just wanted to point out a contradiction, but I'll let you finish.
It's okay. I don't want to keep getting interrupted. But at the end of the day,
I won't interrupt you.
And then you could do it again.
I won't interrupt you.
There you go again. There you go again. Okay, I'm going to always choose what I want to eat. I don't feel bad. At the end of the day, it's not about what the world is doing. If I like fish, if I like meat, I'm gonna eat it. There's not a person, not even someone like you, who can change my mind. I know there's vegan options. I've been vegan before, but you can't compare like good tasting quality food, like what you want, versus like there's a lot of chemicals in those vegan meats too, like in the vegan alternatives. There's a lot of chemicals and processing and a lot of preservatives in those things, so sometimes it could be really bad for your body too.
Okay, can I respond then? So you said a couple of things there. So first of all, I was just providing the hypothetical because it leads to a contradiction. I asked you what's true of animals, that if it was true of humans, would justify that same sort of thing to humans, and you then talked about tradition. You talked, we've been doing this since the beginning of time, so I just provided the hypothetical to test your consistency, and I found a contradiction in your view. If it was the case that we've been doing that to humans since the beginning of time, you would still not do that. So that is a contradiction right there. But then you said something about because you personally like it and you would eat whatever you like. And then you said something about the chemicals and whatnot. But to keep it in the ethical thing, because I'm not here to discuss nutrition or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, let's say, like, for example, you happen to like eating humans.
Let's never do that. That's not a good hypothetical. You can't compare. I never ate a human. How can I like a human? You know?
The reason why that's a good hypothetical is because I'm asking you a specific question. I'm asking you, what is it that's true of animals that if it was true of humans would make you have that same attitude in the human context? You said something about you like the taste. So if it was the case that you like the taste of humans, it would lead to the conclusion that you would be okay with eating humans. So you can't say that's the difference then. So what is it that's true of animals that if it was true of humans would make you have that same attitude?
Well, earlier you were talking about morals and like ethical stuff, right? So I would never eat a human, and you can't put the hypothetical because we're not eating humans. That's
not in our food pyramid. That's just not going to happen naturally.
That's a different kind of cannibalism. It's not in our food pyramid, and at the end of the day, we do have a food pyramid that it is edible, and people can die from eating humans.
What do you mean edible?
Ethical. Yeah, no one. I mean, I'm not gonna say nobody.
I disagree that it's ethical, by the way.
Okay, well, I don't think I would ever try human meat, and I would never want to, even if it was like a survival thing. So I just simply wouldn't. So I can't even answer the question about if I would like human meat or not, because I would never try it.
Yeah, but that's not the question. Like, the question is,
That was-
I know that you have different attitudes. I do know you have different attitudes towards the two concepts. You wouldn't eat humans. You definitely
no,
see
no.
that's immoral, but you would eat animals. My question is just a clarifying question. I just want to understand, what is it, as you see it, what is it that's like different, morally significant difference between us and animals that would make you see it as okay to holocaust animals for food but not humans? I'm just failing to see like a morally significant difference between us and animals. If you think there's a morally significant difference, I'm open to hearing it, but I don't see one.
I would say that, like I said earlier, there is a food pyramid. So like how she was saying earlier, certain animals eat certain other animals, you know, it's just called life. It's a cycle of life. So I'm going to eat fish, I'm going to eat chicken, I'm going to eat beef, you know, I like it. Animals are going to eat each other, you know, but you can't compare animals to humans in a sense of, you can't compare humans to eating each other. That's very weird and strange. I know maybe like some weird people out there like doing that. There's been cases of like murder and cannibalism. I feel like that's a psychological, mental issue, but again, not comparable.
Yeah, so you keep repeating the claim that it's not comparable. I'm not hearing an answer. What is it that's different between us and them that justifies it? You mentioned two things there. You mentioned
It's not natural.
okay, yeah. So that's what I'm about to say. She mentioned something about the circle of life or whatever, the Lion King thing, right? The circle of life, and then you mentioned you like the taste. So again, those are the sort of responses that you can't give me, because if I were to put in the human context, if I were to put in a hypothetical where we would be committing let's say cannibalism was in our genes. Let's say we were a sort of species that committed a little bit of cannibalism, and it was in our genes to do so, and we like the taste of humans. Let's say hypothetically that was the kind of being. Yeah, hypothetically, let's say that was the kind of being that we were. We were like a little bit cannibalistic, and we like would that justify it in your view, to eat humans, or would you say it's better to choose compassion?
That's how like the world was, and then that's how we'd be used to it.
Yeah, but the question is
If
not.
everybody was around eating each other, then that's what we would be used to.
Yeah, but the question is not what would you be used to or not be used to. The question is, do you right now with your current set of values, do you think it would be justified to keep doing that if we were the sort of being that were cannibalistic? Or would you say it would be an obligation to stop doing that to humans, even if it was in our genes to be cannibalistic, and to choose something else?
If it was in our genes, then we would be cannibalism, or we would be cannibals. If it was in our genes, you can't change your genetics.
It's like telling a chicken to eat a cow.
Sure, you can't change your
tell a
genes.
chicken to
Yeah,
eat a
you
cow.
can't change your genes, but assuming we're moral agents and we can tell right from wrong, we can choose to do something like, even if we had like, let's say we have cannibalistic genes, but we have other options, and if it was nutritionally adequate, what would you say is the right thing to do? To keep doing what our genes tells us to do, or to choose the nutritionally adequate non-cannibalistic option?
I think sometimes it's not about what's the best, but sometimes I think it's what we have for resources too. Because, you know, a lot of the times people want to eat really healthy or, you know, plant-based or whatever, but if you compare prices like organic versus not organic, there's a huge price difference. And not just that, but people don't always want to put in like fruits and vegetables that have been chemically altered in our body. Like, for example, one time I had strawberries in my fridge and they were there for like over a month and they were perfect. Now, can you imagine how that will digest in your body? Like, it's, you know, so sometimes it's about what's available and what's more affordable, because if you think about it, in this world, in this day and age, we're like in an economy that is horrible. You know, a lot of people can't even afford to live or afford to eat 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So at the end of the day, it's not about, I'm just speaking in general. I'm not speaking for myself, but in general, for a majority of the people, it's about what we can afford and what is available to us. You know, some people would like to be just organic and just this and that, but like if you go to a Whole Foods and compare prices to versus like a Foodsco or like a Food Max or something like that, it's gonna be like a double or triple price difference, you know. And these days and age, like the minimum wage, what is it here, like maybe like $10, $11?
I think $8.50.
Yeah, that's horrible. Like, that's not even a living wage. So sometimes it's not about what's right morally. Like, hey, you know, I would love to be vegan and I would love to do this and that, but what can I afford? You know, have you
Because
always,
it's like you're gonna choose, talking in that sense, if you have a family to feed, you're not gonna spend $5.99 on a packet of strawberries they're delicious, they're nutrient, but they're not going to fill all 3 of your kids up. You're going to go ahead and buy the roasted chicken that's $5.99 and feed your whole entire family for that. So
with this, like, can I respond?
Yeah.
With this, like, you girls are like suggesting that plant-based diet is not affordable. Like, we're not talking about maybe eating fresh fruit. Maybe we can eat frozen fruit instead, or eat rice, beans, lentils, potatoes, legumes, root vegetables. Like, there's a whole bunch of nuts, seeds. So there's a whole bunch of things, like tofu, for example, is cheap. Seitan, like seitan is comes from wheat gluten. It has more protein than steak. Soy meat, like stuff like that, is super cheap. So we do have like affordable alternatives, but like, I'm not here to discuss, but that's something like you girls in your own time, free time, do the research and do the home, like.
In that sense, like, to move in a forward direction, we would need like a lot of nutrition education for that to even be something that our world would go towards. Because I feel like, again, families don't know or have access to those foods. It wasn't until I was older that I discovered a lot of nuts, fruits, and vegetables.
Yeah, so my hope here is that you girls see it as a moral obligation to do that research and to figure out that, hey, it's not only affordable to be vegan, it's not only nutritionally adequate as well, it's healthy, it's great to be, it's super doable, easy. So I just have another hypothetical to you, right?
Have you been vegan your whole life?
8 years.
8 years? How old are you?
28.
So when you turned 20, you were like, oh, I'm going to be vegan?
Yeah.
What made you want to be vegan?
Yeah, well, I was convinced about the ethics of it. Like, I had no counter argument. I see it as morally obligatory to be vegan. I saw myself as a hypocrite by claiming to be against animal cruelty while paying for it. So let me ask you this. Let's say, like, right now, you've been lied to, and like this whole time you've been eating humans instead of animals. Like, all this meat that you find tasty, the chicken or the whatever you eat, it's all humans. Would you see it as morally obligatory to stop paying for that, or would you like keep paying for it because it's tasty, you like it, or would you see it as morally obligatory to go vegan overnight?
If it was human, I would stop, but if it's animals, I'll continue.
Yeah. So the question is, if it's human specifically, you would stop, and you would see it as morally obligatory to stop.
For humans, yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm still failing to understand what is it that you think is so different between us and animals that would justify it in the human context, but not the animal context.
If you put like one of those graphs, like the left and right graphs, and compare humans to animals, there will be a huge difference on the list.
And what kind of variable?
So many. Like, you just can't compare an animal to a human. Like, besides the heartbeat.
Well, we're animals, right?
Kind of, but if you like.
What do you mean, kind of? We are animals.
Can I finish? Again, so besides having like brains and heartbeats and like blood, I mean, I feel like that's the only, and reproduction, like that's really the only difference. But animals don't have a moral system. Do you ever see animals that are like, oh, I feel bad that I'm doing this? Like, you can't interview an animal and they'll tell you, or you can't tell them, you can't convince an animal to stop eating another animal.
I had a chicken abuse me before. He was just pecking at my leg and it hurt bad. I don't think he felt bad for me though.
So you said something about the scale, right? There's a scale, and humans are higher in the scales in some traits,
Yeah.
and animals are lower in those traits. But do you agree that there's marginal cases of humans where there's some humans without that capacity for moral agency? There's like intellectually disabled humans that would perhaps be at the same level as the animals that you eat in that scale. Let's say we found a group of very intellectually disabled humans that they couldn't tell right from wrong to the same degree that a cow can tell right from wrong. Yeah. Would you be in favor of exploiting and eating those humans?
Can I ask you why you keep asking us about eating humans? Like, are you cannibal?
The reason I keep asking you is because we do have common ground, I presume, in believing in universal human rights. You do believe that all humans should be freed from exploitation, like slavery, murder. Like, presumably, you think all like innocent humans, at least, should be should have a right to life, right?
I think everyone has a right to life. I mean, even in the justice system, you can't really tell who's innocent and not. There's a lot of people incarcerated for being innocent, you know, but.
Yeah, but like, the reason I keep bringing humans is because we do have that common ground. Like, we agree on that. We agree that it's wrong to Holocaust humans and eat them.
Yeah.
but I think it's wrong to Holocaust animals and eat them. But I'm failing to see what's so different between us and them that we justify. You said something about there's certain value, like something like moral agency. Animals can't tell right from wrong. Well, there's marginal cases of humans where they can't tell right from wrong, and you would be against exploiting them for meat, right?
Can you see yourself starting a family with an animal?
What do you mean starting a family with an animal? Animals are family. Like I do see dogs as family. What do you mean?
Like, do you see yourself reproducing with an animal?
Okay, so it's a reproduction thing. No.
Yeah, because you said we're the same, that there's not really much of a difference, and that that we're so close. So why would you not start a family with an animal? You see how?
Are you suggesting that the difference that justifies exploiting animals and not humans is because we are the same species biologically? We can't interbreed with animals. Is that what you're saying? Makes it okay to holocaust them for sandwiches?
Yeah.
Okay, so define like species. You mean like not being able to interbreed with the being, for example, like being Homo sapiens, the same species? Is that what you mean?
I just think that we have, like, you and I, and like maybe I don't know what kind of level of vegan you are, but we have different relationships with like food and animals and everything. Like me, I might not see an animal like that serious. Like I can see a chicken or a pig, like from where I'm from, and even it's a cultural thing. Killing animals like pigs, for example, that's a big thing in the Philippines. It's a big thing in Mexico. It's kind of like an honorable thing, when like feeding your family and all that stuff. To me, I don't get upset if I see a chicken or a cow or anything being killed. Like I just don't. I'm not sorry for it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and you would feel that same way. You were raised eating humans. If you were raised in a
Humans. Not with humans.
you were raised that way.
You
You were raised that way. She agrees, right?
Well, exactly, but we would have to go back in time and like erase my memory and all that. I can't say, starting 2024, we're not gonna have animal meat, but we're only gonna have human meat, and from now on, we're only gonna eat human meat. I would not do that. I would be forced to be vegan,
So
But
that's why I'm not asking questions like what makes you feel worse, because I really don't care about how you feel about something. You could be dead inside, but still logically understand, well, these beings value their own lives. Why the hell exploit them if we have other options? You can still logically understand that if you were that animal, you wouldn't like being exploited for hamburgers. So, but you mentioned the trait. You mentioned being able to interbreed. You mentioned species. So, and when I asked you what separates us morally from animals that makes it okay to holocaust them but not us, you mentioned being able to interbreed with them. So let's say they're still on Earth. Do you know Neanderthals? You know who they used to be?
the Neanderthals, what is that? Like the falls?
Yeah, it was another species of sapient being that was in the planet with us. It became extinct. So it looked like us pretty much, but it wasn't. It wasn't the same species. So let's say we found Neanderthals, and let's say we couldn't interbreed with them. You couldn't form a family with them, which is the kind of thing you asked me if I could do with animals. But they look like us, and they had like, let's say they have their own civilization, their own like culture and stuff. Would you be okay with murdering them for sandwiches because they're not from our species, our own species? And if you say no, that would be a contradiction.
You said it's an animal or a human species, a form of human species?
Well, we are animals, but biologically speaking, we are all animals, even humans.
I see myself different than actual animals like cows, pig, chicken. So can you ask your question one more time? Like, I don't even, what is it called so I can Google it? What was it called, the animal that you were talking about?
And Neanderthals.
A Neanderthals? Hold on, I have to find that.
Would you be okay with eating Neanderthals?
I feel like they're very close to monkeys, and I would never eat a monkey.
Yeah, but why say something like being able to interbreed them? Then that's nothing. Because what I'm trying to find out here is your moral principles. I'm trying to figure out upon what logical basis you're saying that eating meat is okay, is ethical. And when you say something like, "Oh, we can't interbreed with animals," then I think that's what you mean gives us moral worth. But then
I was asking you your relationship with animals because I see that you're like on another level of veganism, but there's some animals that you can and can't eat. I would never eat a monkey, a freaking squirrel, a dog, or a cat, but I will eat chicken, fish, beef.
Yeah, you heard of speciesism?
What is that?
Arbitrary discrimination based on species. That's what you're committing right there.
Well, I guess that's what I am. That's
And
fine.
that's horrible to admit. Like that's like somebody saying, yeah, that's literally like somebody saying, I'm racist. Who cares? Like, I think it's fine to exploit black people, not white people. Exploit Latino.
That's absolutely wrong, and you cannot compare.
Analogous.
You cannot compare animals and racism. Like, that doesn't make sense. Do you understand what you're doing right now? Like, you're comparing racism to animals.
No, I'm not comparing. I'm providing an analogy.
No, you
I'm
just
saying
said that.
I'm saying in both cases it's arbitrary. Arbitrary discrimination.
Okay, you
This-
can't-
yeah.
Is it discrimination or racism? Because you just said,
Racism is a type of arbitrary discrimination.
yeah, but you can't compare human racism to animal discrimination. Like, now you're comparing people who are, victims of racism to certain animals. I feel like that's what you're doing right now.
I'm just saying that in both cases it's oppression. In both cases we're committing we're committing a rights violation. In both cases, if we were to enslave humans, enslave animals, I'm not saying it's the same thing. I was saying in both cases it would be oppression and it would be based on arbitrary discrimination.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not saying it's right to kill animals, but it's just a normal thing that has become normal. Again, I'm not gonna say, oh, I'm going to be vegan. You can't, like, there's no one in the world that can change my mind about what I'm going to eat, because that's something that I choose. But at the end of the day, like, you cannot ask someone, oh, what if you were to eat humans? Like, that's not a thing of the present. Maybe for some, like I said earlier, some psychos, some serial killers, people who are into that stuff, but I'm never gonna eat human meat and certain animal meats, And I know to you it might be animal racism or whatever you called it, but someone who eats fish is not gonna go and eat a monkey. Someone who eats chicken is not gonna go eat a dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's certain animals that you can and can't eat also because of.
I'm still failing to understand what is it, because I'm just been asking one question this whole time. You've been giving me different answers that they've led to contradictions. You said being able to interbreed. If we found Neanderthals, you would be against killing. That would be a contradiction.
Yeah.
You said something about liking the taste. If you were to eat like human meat, you would be against that. So it can't be that. That would lead to a contradiction. I'm just trying to understand what is it that's true of us. Or true of animals, that if it was true of us would make you have that same attitude in the human context, that would make it okay for you to take away. Yeah, like, I'm just failing to understand what's the morally significant difference between us and animals, that if we found that difference in traits in humans would make it okay for you to take away human rights from those humans. If we found that thing that
morally, just because that's how we were raised. Morally, that's all you know.
I don't feel bad. There's not anything that's in humans and in animals that I will be like, oh, I don't feel bad.
Yeah, but the logical consequence of that response, if it was the case that you were raised eating humans, it would make it okay to eat humans.
Again, if that was like the cultural thing,
I'm not asking what would be the norm or what would be the cultural thing. I'm asking what would be ethical, what would be the right thing. If you say that it's tradition, the thing that would make it okay, then if it was tradition to eat humans, it would make it okay in your view. It would make it ethical to eat humans, and I doubt you agree with that, right?
I don't know. I blanked out on what you said.
I'm just asking, what is it? What's the thing that justifies eating animals? And you say it's tradition, but I'm pretty sure that's not what you think is the thing that justifies it. But in the human context, if it was tradition to eat humans, you wouldn't think it's okay to eat humans.
Do you know what's more important right now than animals? Humans. There's a lot of people dying right now in Gaza. There's like 1 million people dying right now, and I think that maybe I feel like you're a very passionate person, and that's a beautiful trait to have. And I think maybe instead of fighting for animals, it's never gonna end. This world is never gonna be 100% vegan, and I think
that's an empirical question. I strongly disagree with that.
Can I finish my? Okay, I think that this world will never be 100% vegan, in my opinion, being realistic. And instead of fighting for animals that are, at the end of the day, they're always going to be dying and dying and dying because also they have a shorter lifespan than us, maybe like put your heart and your passion into something a little bit more serious, like, the children dying in Gaza.
Yeah, so a couple of things there.
You should try exploiting like companies that are supporting that stuff. Like, you should be standing outside of a Starbucks, out of McDonald's, out of like big companies and corporations that are funding these genocides.
Yeah, so I think can I respond to that? So yeah, there's a couple of things there. First of all, you're like claiming that there's more important issues, and I can agree with you. They may very well be more important issues. I think that the animal case is a huge. The reason it's a moral emergency is because it's ignored. Most people like you, I don't care about animals. It doesn't make me feel anything. So that's why we think it's a moral emergency, because most people, you ask them, you think committing a genocide is bad? Yes. You think exploiting women is bad? Yes. Do you think committing human trafficking is bad? Yes. Do you think eating chicken is bad? I like KFC. That's why it's a moral emergency, because most people don't even think about it. Most people don't even think about the victims. So that's one thing.
Right now, you're not even thinking about the victims.
The other thing is, you can be like passionate about whatever topic you want to be passionate about. You can choose your battles. You can like fight for Gaza or fight for whatever you want to fight, while simultaneously not paying 3 times a day or more for for an animal holocaust. You can be vegan. You can not give your money to an animal holocaust and fight for whatever cause you want to fight. I can do that too. Like, I choose to be an animal rights advocate because I think like the most marginalized group and ignored and forgotten victims of all the existence is animals. So I choose this battle, but you can choose whatever battle you choose without paying for an animal holocaust. I just don't understand why pay for an animal holocaust if you have other options.
So, what's the point of like the interview? Like, is it to change our minds, or is it to like just make us feel bad, or like what is it?
Yeah, so my purpose in debates is just to get to the truth, to explore your values, explore inconsistencies in your views. I already found a couple of inconsistencies. Obviously, the ultimate goal would be to persuade you girls to stop harming others, right?
Yeah.
It's the only means I have. Like, it's legal to harm others right now. Like, obviously, so I can't do anything to get you girls arrested or anything like that, but I can have a conversation with you, try to change your mind.
You should probably make like brochures of like, the pros and the cons and everything, and like, because I feel like in this interview, I feel like you're not persuading us to be vegan or anything. I feel like if anything, you're trying to make us feel bad, but I'm not gonna feel bad. I just won't.
Well, if you feel bad, like you claim you don't feel bad, but if you feel bad, it's between you and your conscience. I'm just trying to get to the truth and trying to explore what follows logically from your values.
Yeah. I know
For now, you just found a bunch of contradictions. You still haven't provided me a morally significant difference between us and animals that would justify.
I told you I don't think there is one.
There's no morally significant difference between us and animals that would justify doing that to animals?
In my opinion, no.
So it is wrong to holocaust animals.
I know you're gonna say I'm gonna contradict myself, but I just don't feel bad for people eating animals. Is it sad that we have to kill animals? Yeah, but I don't feel bad. I know it sounds contradicting, and it is contradicting, but at the end of the day, it's about survival.
Not necessarily. Like you can like somebody can like not experience emotions or something, like, but still recognize that what they're doing is wrong. You don't have to necessarily feel bad about something to recognize it's a bad thing, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong though. I think it's human, and I think it's normal, and I think it's more like of a survival thing and a health thing. Not everybody wants to be vegan.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm trying to explore. Is you still haven't provided an answer that is not contradictory.
I did tell you. I told you like 3 times already.
You told me what?
I told you that I don't think there's a big, huge moral significance that makes us different between animals and us humans.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're about the proposition, right? The proposition in this debate is that being vegan is morally obligatory. You disagree.
Maybe
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing that you have a different attitude, because you do think it's morally obligatory not to exploit humans. You do think it's morally obligatory not to rape, enslave, murder humans, but you do not think it's morally obligatory to not enslave, rape, and murder animals. And I'm just trying to.
I never said murder and rape. The killing for the nutritional part to feed people, yes, but do I think it's wrong to rape animals? That's disgusting, and I'm not okay with that. Like, don't say that.
That's why you pay for it.
Look into the dairy industry.
Excuse me?
Look into the dairy industry.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's very fucked up. Like the way
That is.
the way that yeah.
Because you give money to them.
Well, when I'm eating out, yeah. When I eat out, like when I'm eating out at a restaurant or something, yeah, because I don't know where the hell that meat comes from. But when I'm at home, I will always go to my local, like farmer's market, where I know exactly where everybody, their sources and how they're treating the animals. It's like a very small, like local farm, so I know how they're treating their animals there.
If I was the cow, I would say that's irrelevant because I still want to live.
Yeah, the thing is, you're saying you're against rape. Sure, it's easy to say you're against rape, but why pay for it then?
I don't consume dairy. I do eat animals, but I don't consume dairy, if that makes sense.
Wait, you don't consume dairy?
No.
Eggs either?
No.
Okay, but you still pay for rape if you consume animals.
cheese, right?
How do you think those animals?
Cheese, no yogurt, no milk, because I have like an allergy. But I do eat like chicken, fish, red meats, like all that stuff. I do.
Okay, how do you think those animals are brought into existence? Do you think they're just happily breeding and having sex like no?
We know
No?
how we know how it happens.
So you do pay for rape, right?
No, I don't pay for rape.
You do pay for it.
Define rape.
Unsolicited sex.
Yeah, would you say sexual exploitation? Would you say putting a whole arm into somebody's private part? Do you think that would be rape? Without the consent of the being in question? Or are you gonna use like an anthropocentric definition of rape where only humans can get raped or something like that?
I never said that. I never said that only humans can get.
That was a question. It was a question.
Yeah, I know animals can rape too, but I'm not saying here's $20, go rape that animal. I'm not doing it. So I'm not, and I don't think that I'm like saying, hey, here's some money, go fucking rape this cow. You know what I mean? If there's farms, like if you go to certain stores, there's labels that say about the kind of farm that the animals are on and how they're like raised and everything like that. So there's farms that don't go into rape, you know? So if I'm putting my money, like let's say I buy my household like eggs or milk that they consume, I make sure that the label says like, you know, the type of farm that they're bred like rightfully, you know, not the rape ones or stuff like that. You know, there's labels that you can read about that too.
Yeah, and how can you tell by a label that an animal is not artificially selected or something like that?
Research.
So research. Let's say, for the sake of argument, you find a place that you think is ethical. Like, what kind of situation? How would that situation look like? What would be an ethical way to breed and kill animals that don't want to die?
To breed animals the ethical way, just nature, natural. They do it themselves. You know, people have small farms where, you know, chickens do it on their own and everything. As far as like rape,
No, killing. How would you kill an animal that doesn't want to die?
quickly.
Okay, and like, you do know.
You're not just gonna stab a pig in the ear, you know, like you
stab
have
it in
to,
the heart.
yeah, there's
But you do know that
certain practices that cultures have adopted, so it's not like they're just straight up murdering people or murdering animals, chickens and cows. They're very conscious that they have feelings and that they, you know, they can experience pain if done the wrong way.
So if it's done the right way, they don't feel pain.
It's quick.
Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Get shot in your head like right here.
You're gonna go out. You're not gonna feel a damn thing.
Yeah,
I
you're
would
not gonna
rather
feel
not.
it.
Let me ask you that before we get there.
You don't have
Like,
a choice.
can
Somebody's gonna shoot you.
Would you rather die slowly or quickly?
let's keep it 1v2 right now.
Gun to your head.
We're all gonna die.
So sure. So
Slower, quick.
okay. So
I choose quick.
I have a question. Do you at least recognize that the way you're advocating for us to breed and kill animals, wouldn't be sustainable to feed 8 billion humans in that way, right?
True.
Right. The amount of land that we would need to keep those sort of like free roaming, happy animals that are murdered like humanely or whatever. But again, and this is the thing where you're gonna say why you keep bringing up humans is because I still haven't seen a morally significant difference. You would have a negative attitude if we did that to humans, if we breed them in that way and kill them painlessly.
Happy as humans.
Right.
If it started now, like in 2024, yes, I would. I think everybody would be upset.
What do you mean by that? You-
They're happy humans. It's okay.
No,
Stop
what
having
do you
a
mean?
heart.
The mic is not capturing your audio. So-
Sorry, what was the question again?
Yeah, because personally, you wouldn't be okay with that being done to humans. Are you saying that if it was like if it was done before 2023, it would be fine to do that?
If it was done at the beginning of time, if that's all we knew, and it's instilled in our brain, like we don't know nothing else, then it would be normal to us.
But what would you do? Let's say you were doing that right now. You were paying for happy humans, humanely slaughtered. Would you keep paying for that, or would you choose the vegan option instead?
Vegan, because I wouldn't want to eat human. I think I told you that earlier.
Exactly. So I still want to know what's the difference between us and them that would justify that to them. I haven't heard an answer that doesn't lead to a contradiction.
This is like the 5th time that I told you that there isn't one. To me, there's not a.
Yeah, the reason that there is one is because you do have different attitudes. So I'm just asking what is it that accounts for the difference in attitude? You see it as morally obligatory to grab the vegan option instead of exploiting humans, but you don't see that in the animal case. So
Yeah, no.
there is a
You can't compare them. You can't compare them.
so that's what I'm asking. What is it so different between us and them that makes it not comparable in your view?
You can't compare humans to animals. You just can't. Besides the reproductive system, besides the heart and the brain, like there's really nothing. Like, can you compare yourself to an ant?
Well, what?
To an ant, una hormiga.
I mean, we're both animals.
Can you compare yourself to it besides being animals?
Well, there's some similarities between us. We're both animals. We do have nervous systems. Ants are possibly sentient as well. So there's comparable traits between us. But I don't know what you mean we can't compare them when there's comparable things between us.
I'm saying you can't compare them on a scale to like it being a human, you know, like for a million reasons. And at the end of the day, I feel like there's nothing that anyone can tell me or convince me to compare humans to animals on a moral thing, you know, because again, the food pyramid, it's natural, it's what we know, it's nature, it's a natural thing. And because I know you care for animals, it might be different to you, you might be more sensitive on the topic, but at the end of the day, it's a human pyramid, you know.
So if you say it's not comparable, then I'm still waiting for the difference that justifies it. And you're saying something about there's like a hierarchy of value, and I could agree with you. There's a hierarchy of value. There's beings that are less valuable than others, all the way down to non-sentient beings. I think it's fine to do whatever we want to non-sentient beings like plants, okay? But I do think animals have sufficient value where it would be morally obligatory for us not to holocaust them for sandwiches. You do think it's okay to do that to them?
To animals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it that's so different between us and them that makes it okay to be turned into sandwiches for them?
Because they're on the food pyramid like that. Like, we eat animals, animals eat each other animals eat plants, so on and so forth. That's the difference. Like, we're meant to eat each other.
Okay, so let me ask you this: if you found out right now that there's another species, an alien species right now in this planet, and it was superior to us in the food chain, you would be okay, like, for them to, like, you would see the action of them committing a human holocaust and being turned for sandwiches for them. You would see that and say that's completely fine, that's ethical to do that.
Yes. Yes, because it would be, if it was a food pyramid, then yes, we have no other option. Just like how animals don't have other options. I'm not going to say I'm superior to anybody else. If an alien bigger than me, like in another species, and it's bigger than me, like the size of like 10 buildings, and they wanted to eat me, what can I do about it? Nothing, right?
What did I say? When did I ask if we had other options or not? My question was, is it ethical? Would you see that situation? Would you see aliens holocausting your family, holocausting humanity, and turning them into sandwiches? And you would look at the situation and say, that's completely fine. That's ethical. That's a good thing because they're on top of the food chain.
Yeah.
So you would look at that situation and say there's nothing wrong with that. Even if let's say they could be vegan, but they decided to do that because they're on top of the food chain. They're stronger than us or whatever.
If that was their option, like their only other option,
I
and
didn't say that. I specifically said in the hypothetical there's other options. They could be vegan,
but if
right?
they wanted to, and if they could, yes. Is it right? Probably not. But if they do it, they're gonna do it. We can't stop them from doing it.
But again, that's when you are like you are answering a different question there. I'm not asking would they do it.
You're asking me if it's ethical. I said no. But even though it's not ethical and they still wanted to do it and they can do it, then they're going to do it.
Yeah, but you do think it's not ethical, right?
No, it's not
Yeah.
ethical.
So why is it ethical for us to do that to animals?
Because it's natural. It's nature. This life.
Wait, whoa. So it's natural. So if it was natural for them to do that to us,
They're going to do it.
no. The question is not if they're going to do it or not. The question is, would it be okay? Would it be ethical to do it?
Of course not. It's not ethical for aliens to eat humans. It's not ethical for humans to eat animals, but it's normal and it's a part of life. There's a difference
Okay,
between...
so you are admitting it's unethical what we're doing to animals.
Yes, but we're going to do
unethical.
it.
There's a lot of things that's unethical. Like that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
So if it is unethical, you are agreeing that you are a moral hypocrite.
Yes. And it's because it's a part of life. It's a pyramid. There's, like I said earlier, if it's just me, if it's everyone in this world, no one, like the whole world is not going to become vegan. I know you probably think that in your heart, like because you're a diehard vegan, but we're not all going to become vegan. And you know, we're all probably going to die in this world. It's not going to be vegan. So I feel like I said earlier, maybe we should focus on more important things.
Yes. Okay. So a couple of things. I think that the debate reached its conclusion there. By you guys admitting that you're hypocrites. At least you admit it. Okay. But I think the thing you say about the future not being vegan, I think that's complete bullshit. I think the
That's
future.
like saying that there's never going to be murderers. There's always going to be murderers.
I think you're delusional.
Well, that's an empirical question, right? That we could reach some sort of, I don't know. It could be like it's not logically impossible for us to.
Only way is for humans
Can I
to be
respond? Yeah, can I respond? Like there's I don't see it as logically impossible for us to reach some sort of utopia where there's no rights violation or something like that. But the vegan question is super. I think it's super likely that we're gonna go vegan, possibly within our lifetime. Like because veganism just makes so much sense. Not just morally speaking, not just the moral philosophy of veganism makes sense. Like us
I
extending.
wish that were the case,
But
but the way
can I
that-
please to finish my
Okay.
yeah.
I'm going to forget it.
Okay, if it's important, I'll let you say it if it's important.
Okay. No, see, I forgot. I can't remember.
If you remember, you're gonna cut me off. So I do see it as pretty obvious that the world's gonna go vegan for various reasons. First of all, I think that the ethical there's no counter argument.
Ethical because some people don't. Some people aren't ethical.
Yeah, besides the ethical, like
Yeah,
that
besides
veganism is an ethical philosophy. Veganism is a moral philosophy, so that's what it is. But there's other reasons to adopt a plant-based diet that makes a lot. Like for example, it's better for public health. Like being vegan is just healthier. So that's one of them.
And it would be a lot healthier for the universe if we all rode bikes. But we're not all.
Yeah, but
doing bikes,
I'm
so-
gonna tell you all the difference. Like the moral argument is the most compelling one. I think that's we're gonna eventually codify into law animal rights the same way we've codified rights for women, for black people, for LGBT. I think we're gonna. In the near future, we're gonna expand that to animals. But there's the health thing, there's the pandemic prevention thing. Like most zoonotic diseases, like 75% of zoonotic disease of modern infectious diseases are from zoonotic origin. They jump from humans to animals. The last like COVID-19 thing from animals to humans. Like the last COVID-19 things was from, like people fucking around with animals and eating them and shit like that. Like most like things like Ebola, like MERS, SARS, like bird flu, swine flu, all animal origin. So that's another thing. There's the they're just plant-based diet, like animal agriculture is horrible for the environment. Like the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics also suggested that it would be more environmentally sustainable to be vegan. And the United Nations latest climate report suggests that if the world would go to vegan, if the whole world adopted a plant-based system by 2050, we would be able to feed more people with less land by the estimated population that would be here in 2050. So that's another thing. And then there's technological advancement. There's like around the corner, like Israel, like a couple of days ago, legalized and approved for the market to sell lab-grown meat. So meat without exploiting animals. Like
But what's in the meat?
it's literally the same, anatomically speaking, chemically speaking, it's the same thing. It's just not done by breeding animals into existence. It's just
But how bad are those chemicals for us? Like, what's in the meat? Do you know what's in the meat?
it's the same exact product, except without murdering others. It's done in cultured. It's done in a lab, basically.
You keep saying it's the same thing, but what do you mean it's the same? It's the same thing as animal meat?
It's the same product. The same. It's identical products, except one has a history of Holocaust. The other is made by infinitely infinitely reproducing cells. But so there's technological advancements that are gonna help us get the world to go vegan. There's widely available plant-based options. So there's really like no there's no turning back. The world's just gonna go vegan at any time. Like once the technology's out there, where it's like super available for everyone to buy lab-grown meat and stuff like that. Like it's gonna be as ridiculous and absurd for the world not to go vegan as it was for people not to adopt automobiles. Like imagine people riding a horse from New York to California when they can just ride a car or a plane or something. That's the sort of thing that's gonna happen with the technology.
Me personally, I'm not opposed to going vegan or being vegan. What I'm saying is, at this time of my life, I'm used to it. I like it. I'm not saying, oh, I'll never go vegan. Possibly in the future. Like I've been vegan before, like I mentioned earlier. But it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. I get it. But the thing is, at the end of the day, you can give the resource to everyone in the world, but there's not gonna be everyone who's gonna be like, okay, I'll take the resources. Some people don't even want the resources. So you can't convince me that the world will be 100% vegan, because there will be people who don't want to be vegan. There's people who are just by choice, like, hey, I just rather have this, you know? I personally would not eat lab grown meat. That sounds disgusting to me.
And you don't have to. There's other options, right?
Yeah,
There's plant-based options, right?
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, not just me, but other people will be like, hey, I don't know what's in, a lot of people can lie about what ingredients are in there. Like, we don't even know half of the ingredients and half of the stuff we eat, So there's a lot of things that are not labeled, and, according to the FDA, not everything has to go labeled exactly, So there's a lot of hidden ingredients sometimes. So at the end of the day, people can be afraid of that, or people are just opposed to it, or for a million other reasons. But there's always going to be people who choose to go with the meat or go with the animals, although it's not ethically, like, okay. Like, of course it's not okay to kill, but it's normal. It's a common thing now. It's not abnormal to be like, oh, hey, I killed a cow for beef. Like, in my country, it's normal, It's kind of like because, everybody at one point came from a lot of veganism, and then they were introduced to meat. It's kind of like a financial thing, like, oh, hey, we can afford it. It's a luxury. Let's eat meat, It's something like that. But of course, there's a lot of things that are not ethically and morally right, but we still do it, and it's still like a normal thing. But like I said, I don't ever think that there's going to be a point in time where everyone becomes 100% vegan, because not everyone is going to want to eat lab-grown meat.
And we disagree about that. I think it's inevitable. The future is gonna be vegan. I'm optimistic about it. I'm also optimistic about you girls. Like I hope you reflect on your values, and you admitted in this debate that you're speciesist, that you are hypocrites. I think that's horrible in my view. I think if you're gonna admit to that, I think that the moral obligation is to change and go vegan. Like you can bring, sure, that I value intellectual honesty. All the justification when I asked the name the trait question was true of animals, that if it was true of us, we justify differential treatment, all led to contradictions. You kept mentioning stuff like the three famous N's, like natural, necessary, and normal. Like the amount of atrocities. Sure, but the amount of atrocities that have been justified by that, like, and animals, there's not morally significant difference between us and animals. I think we should expand moral consideration to them. I hope you reflect on it, and next time you go to the supermarket, choose compassion instead of murdering others. But that's it.
Well, the only thing I can say is, like, you can call me a hypocrite if I.
Oh, you admitted it, right?
Okay, well, if I admitted it, whatever the hypocrisy was, you at this moment can't change my mind. And at the end of the day, everything to me is about honesty. I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit you. I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, you changed my life, I'm gonna go be vegan today, because I'm not, And at the end of the day, not everyone, but majority of people are still gonna be eating animal products or eating animals. And at the end of the day, it's just the world we live in. It's natural, it's normal, it's not ethically and morally okay, but it's normal. It's a normal thing. So I hope that that
I think normal and ethical are like diametrically opposed. I don't think just because something is normal makes it okay. There's a bunch of normal things that have been here throughout history. Slavery was completely normal. The exploitation of women.
I said it was okay. I said it's normal. I said it's not ethically okay or morally okay.
I think that's irrelevant. I don't care if it's normal or not. My only question if it's ethical.
Well,
and you do admit that you weren't able to provide like a difference between us and animals.
I told you like 5 times. I told you 5 different times. You can go back on the video and watch it. But yeah, that's my point of view, and yeah, I don't think the world will be vegan 100%. But if there is, one day I hope to meet you and congratulate you.
But either way, that's irrelevant. Like, even if it was the case that the whole world never went vegan, why you personally are gonna keep supporting Holocaust, right? If let's say that, like, let's choose like something
like, I get you, but at the end of the day, like, I have to put like my health first. Like, I don't feel good when I'm vegan, Like, I get you, but
so
I have more to offer to the world when I feel healthier.
Yeah. What would you tell somebody, or what would you advise somebody, for example, like her, when she goes vegan and it's not good for her and she has an adverse reaction versus a positive one? What would you tell people who have adverse reactions to veganism?
Yeah, I would ask her. So a couple of things. Like I would. What were you eating? Like what do you mean you weren't feeling good?
I was doing chicken and then, or sorry, I was doing salad without the chicken, because that's kind of like my go-to meal is like a Caesar salad with chicken. And then, but I would exclude the chicken. I would do pea protein shakes to get like the extra protein in. I upped a lot of my vegetable intake and fruit intake, but I was still like very much hungry. It's just, it's a lot harder to be on a vegan diet than.
Yeah, I disagree with that. Like if you think about the victims, super easy to be vegan.
But that's it.
Uh,
You're not thinking.
yeah.
about the victim.
And the thing is, like,
Not
so
everyone
so
feels
so
that
so like a couple of things there. So I would suggest going to the peer-reviewed literature. Being vegan is, like I mentioned a couple of times, it's nutritionally adequate, it's healthy. So
I know it is. I know it is. It is definitely. But there's also nutritional value to chicken as well.
but it's unethical. Like there could be nutritional value to stabbing him and eating him. I wouldn't do it, right? Same thing with chicken.
No, I don't think so. I think that would give me some sort of disease. I don't.
Even if it was, even if hypothetically, it may be immoral to murder my friend. Like I don't think I would do it. But either way, there. So another thing that I would recommend is just to look for help. If for some reason, like, because it is healthy to be vegan, but you're pointing to your own personal anecdote that you weren't able to do it without feeling good or whatever. I would just suggest you look for help. There's people that could help you. There's something called
100%.
there's something called the Challenge 22. Dot challenge22.com. They set you up with a registered dietitian, and they can help you out. All the doubts you could have about what to eat, how to replace your animal products, they can help you out. They set you up. Yeah, you can look for help. There's plenty of people that could help you online. There's really no reason to keep
Very
supporting.
costly. Trust me, I've tried
That's
to
free.
have a lot of food nutrition. I need a lot of food help, and it's very difficult to get that help.
Yeah, costs a lot of money too.
What costs a lot of money?
Just,
To speak to a nutritionist.
No, that's free.
No,
It's a free service.
well, I don't know. I live in California. It's not free over there, and I have.
No, challenge22.com is free. They set you up with a registered dietitian. They help you out. It's completely free. And plant-based food is cheaper. If you're looking to save some money,
what if I don't like plant-based food?
well, I would ask you, does taste pleasure justify murdering others?
Murdering animals, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Taste pleasure.
Like for example, like an onion makes me gag, or
You don't have to eat onions.
like just things like that. I can't. It's hard for me to eat those things.
So I'm gonna ask you just one more time. You say taste pleasure justify murdering animals. Presumably, it doesn't justify murdering him. If he. Okay. So again, what's the difference?
Trust me, if I could like a tomato, I would love to eat a tomato. But there's something in my mouth that fucking hates tomatoes.
You like grains, like legumes.
I try to, but I can't. It grosses me out. I eat frijoles, beans, or bichuelas.
And you like that?
however
You like that? Yeah, that's vegan. Yeah, there's plenty. There's thousands of plant-based
But
foods to
still,
choose
that
from.
wasn't
You can
enough for me,
experiment, right?
though.
You can experiment. There's thousands of plant-based foods. They're accessible. Many of them are cheap. There's thousands of them to choose from. There's like two animals that you're exploiting. You can just stop exploiting those two animals and eat plant-based foods. There's plenty of them. There's stuff that could replace your cheese or whatever dairy products you're consuming. There's stuff that could replace your chicken. There's stuff that tastes exactly like chicken. You can marinate your tofu to taste exactly like chicken. There's products.
No,
me
the
gag.
texture is different. The texture is different.
Tofu makes me gag.
Yeah, and that justifies harming others, right?
Well, if I can't fucking put it down my mouth, yes. I literally can't eat that. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, like, I have very restrictive food intake things. Like, even ask her on this trip, like, I've been eating little, and it's been a struggle. But it's just, trust me, I wish I could, but my mouth makes me gag, and I can't.
And
eat.
somehow to you, it's okay to exploit and kill others just because you gag if you don't.
Animals.
Yeah, yes.
Animals aren't others.
No, they're not.
Animals aren't others. What do you mean by others?
You're making it sound like others, like a human. Like, animals are animals.
Other beings.
Okay, other beings. It is okay for us personally to kill animals to eat. Yes, it is. We're not gonna feel bad about it. Is it wrong? Yes. Do we feel bad? No.
So it is wrong.
Yes, it's wrong, but we don't care. Like,
You don't care about being an asshole to others.
to animals, not really. They kind of know already. Like, they know they're in farms. They're not dumb. They have brains. They know they're gonna die.
But again, there's no difference that you can point to between us and them that would justify it.
I don't think.
So you're just being selfish and say, I like the taste, I do whatever I want, so I could do it. I'll gag if I don't, so I'll kill others, right?
Yes, but at least we're being honest. Not everybody wants to be vegan.
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, you guys, it's horrible, right? It's horrible. Like animals matter too,
To you, they matter to you.
and they don't matter to you. Why? You haven't been able to provide a reason why they don't matter to you. You just.
Oh, I don't care. I simply don't care. I told you it's a food pyramid. Like, it's a whole chain. Like, humans eat animals, animals eat other animals, so on and so forth. You should go talk to a bear on why they hunt fish. You should talk to an animal on why they hunt other animals. Like, they wouldn't give a fuck if, they wouldn't care. Because they need to survive or they need to eat. Even if you convince them, like, hey, you can eat plants, they wouldn't want to. It doesn't feel them the same. It doesn't taste the same. Is it wrong? Yes. Do we care? Not really. Like, we're going to do it anyways, So that's my take on it.
Well, I think I'll end it here. I think we exposed the kind of situation where we exposed kindness.
It's not exposure because we live it publicly. We have nothing to hide. So if we were hiding it, that would be exposure. But you're not exposing because we're not living in, like, we're not hiding behind anything. I can go to a restaurant.
What I mean by exposed is I showed people the kind of justifications kindness used to commit a Holocaust. They all lead to contradictions.
Okay,
All
for example,
selfish
the
stuff.
people
Like
who-
I'll gag if I don't murder someone. It's all selfish stuff. It's horrific. Like I think most people upon hearing that would be on my side because the kind of excuses you girls have given are just simply like horrific.
I know, but like you're gonna upload this video, and then like the people who are already vegan are gonna side with you guys, and the people who think like us are gonna side with us. So it's just kind of funny.
Not necessarily. I think reasonable people that are not vegan, upon hearing the sort of bullshit excuses you girls have given, are gonna be on my side.
No, it would be hypocrisy because people who are not vegan, still eating animals, can't judge us for eating animals when they're doing the same
Maybe
thing.
they go vegan upon hearing the kind of justifications you go. That's what I did. I heard the sort of justifications kindness give, and I said that's completely stupid. There's no counter argument against veganism. So yeah, that's it. So I think I'll leave it here. I hope you girls like reflect. I'm optimistic about you girls. I hope you reflect on it, and next time you have you're choosing what to eat. You choose compassion instead of harming others. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's between you and your conscience. But I hope you do reflect on it.
What's your guys' social media?
Eat pussy, not animals is mine.
Pussy, not animals.
Yep.
I like that one. That one's cool. I like your username.
Yeah, I can share it with you if you want. But yeah. Anyway, thanks for accepting the conversation. If it got heated or anything, I just very passionate about defending the innocent animal.
I respect that. I respect that 100%. And I hope that one day you do live to see the world be vegan, even though it's not likely. But you never know. So
I think it's inevitable. I think it's gonna be happen, and I think you can be passionate about gas or whatever you're passionate about while simultaneously not paying 3 times a day for murder.
okay.
But I'll leave it at that.